What's up, everyone? It's the Beast Brian London, Brandon Odoi from the Real Ones Canes podcast, and we are downstairs in Hard Rock Stadium after Miami beats Texas A&M 48-33, a game they really needed, Brandon, if they want to have their sights set on something big at the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely, Beast. This is a game that you have to win if you're Miami and want to have a special season, and they did exactly that. How did they do it? An offensive explosion.
Yeah.
Shannon Dawson, the new OC, was dialing it up all game. They had some mistakes and penalties, things they definitely have to clean up, but they scored more points than the other team. 1 point's a win, 2 points is a blowout. That's how this works.
Well, and they win by 15, and Tyler Van Dyke is the first Miami quarterback to throw 5 touchdown passes against a top 25 team. Now, we don't know how long Texas A&M is going to be ranked in the top 25, but the stat counts tonight, and he had a good night, but he got a lot of help from his receivers and offensive line.
He got a ton of help from his receiving core. You talk about Colby Young and Jacoby George. And so when you look at this Hurricanes, I've been talking about this on the podcast for 2 weeks. We got to find explosive plays, and that's what you saw in bunches tonight. Isaiah Horton with a big 52-yard reception. Jacoby George, 2 touchdowns, should have been 3. Colby Young, he's been the most consistent person on offense. You know, decent runs from Henry Parrish. Mark Fletcher went down. But you talk about doing enough to win football games, and that's what this Hurricanes team did tonight. Let's not forget about Xavier Restrepo. He had a really good night as well. And the defense, you know, they made a couple of mistakes. It seems like they made corrections. There's a couple of weird penalties there, but defense came to play again. They came to play big time. The reality of the situation is, with this Hurricane defense, they were put in very tight spots early on in this game due to penalties and just really fundamentally unsound football play. Those things were cleaned up, and then you got the chance to see this Hurricane team shine. James Williams was himself tonight. The 5-star definitely represented. He was a threat all night long. He, Jaden Davis, Daryl Porter, and even to Corey Couch, who typically is a sieve for this defense, he had a big interception late in the game to seal things. We got to pray for Kam Kinchens because he went down with what looked to be a neck injury, but before that, he was balling out of control as well. So a lot to like. That front 7 beast was getting and putting pressure on Connor Wigman, and that's what made the downfield passing game that we saw them against New Mexico State exhibit. It was inexistent tonight. So I think one of the things that we need to talk about this week on the podcast, and make sure you subscribe everywhere for the podcast, the Real Ones Canes podcast, on your iTunes, on your Spotify, on your Amazon, and your Google, is this team showing resiliency to overcome the mistakes they made early on. And that's something that in the past, they would have maybe let that impact them the rest of the game and then games on after that. They didn't let that domino effect happen. That's the thing that we noticed, Beast. They played not a perfect game. They played a much less than perfect game and still found a way to win. That typically doesn't happen. When Miami beats good teams, they usually have a near perfect game. You think back to the Notre Dame game of a few years ago. They played an almost perfect game on defense and a good game on offense. And that is what has been the formula. Tonight, they had the talent, the will, and the ability, the coaching, to be able to overcome not small mistakes, big mistakes. You're talking about muffing punts inside your own 20. You're talking about punts getting blocked. These are big deals. And so it's a situation and a scenario where this is a much deeper team, a much better coach team, and a team that has a lot more ability than we've seen in a very long time here at Hard Rock Stadium. I know a lot of people watching right now are wondering about a Kam Kinchens update. We really don't have one other than Mario Cristobal just said in the press conference moments ago, everything was relatively normal. We're going to know more in hours and days to come. So that's the update right now. Obviously, we're praying and giving up good thoughts for Kam Kinchens. Every player that walked into that room said he is undeniably the leader of this football team. So he means a lot to this program. He means a lot. You saw the whole team basically want to crowd around this guy. This guy's the unquestionable leader of this team. He's an All-American, and he's an all-around good guy. Yeah. He's a leader on this team, and it meant something when he went down, but the win was already secured. It's a short week, but it's Bethune-Cookman ahead Thursday night here at Hard Rock Stadium. We will be here to cover it for you. Make sure you stay tuned. The Real Ones Canes podcast coming out Wednesday this week. Look for it. I'm sure we'll have big-time guests and big-time hot takes. We'll have it for you in the Real Ones Canes podcast. Brandon, thanks a lot. Always a pleasure, man. Go Canes. Go Canes. We'll see you next time.